My name is Sol Rébora. I am a designer bookbinder from Buenos Aires. I have a copy of the Klemscott Chaucer to buy. I have more than 20 years working as a bookbinder, and I have always been interested in the conditions that the process of creating a contemporary binding for an antique book may have. I specialize in design bookbinding with conservation concepts, and I believe that in the process of creating a design binding, conservation concepts are very important to provide reversibility to the steps that make up the development of a binding construction to protect the future life of a book. I received this book a year ago. It belongs to a book collector who lives in Buenos Aires, who has deep knowledge about historical constructions and English publishing. As a book collector and also as a bookbinder, he had worked as a bookbinder and restored on the past. I think it is an interesting project for two reasons. The first, I am a bookbinder who lives in Buenos Aires, who works in 2021, working for a book printed in England in 1896. So here we have the complex relationship between a contemporary binding and an antique book, and the difference on where I live and the book has been printed. The second reason, the book belongs to a book collector who wants to be involved in the aesthetic and technical decisions for the binding process of his book. So, as a professional bookbinder, I have to listen to him. As a book collector, he needs to listen to me, and we need to find a point where we can both agree to begin binding this copy of the Kelmscott Chaucer, one of the most important books in the English press. This is the copy of the Kelmscott Chaucer I have to bind. I had already taken out the original sewing to make the new structure. Then, once everything is finished, the original binding is going to be preserved together with the book and its new binding into a special division. I have to create one box for these two elements. The first request I received from the owner of the book has been to use a pigskin, a white alum-towered pigskin, to create the traditional structure from the medieval times with natural nerves. The main intention of this choice was to produce a strong and resistant structure for the opening of this large-size book. But there is also the purpose to relate the new design binding with those antique bindings made by Dove's Bindery at the Kelmscott's time. Then I decided to make a maquette to see along its process many details I needed to prove before starting to work with the book. Here I had the opportunity to check the thickness of the threads, the core I may use for the sewing structure, the width of the nerves I may get with the core I had used, which would be the aesthetic result that my hands may get producing this structure, and how may it looks in relation to the book. I may also check some other technical elements such as the head cap, the end bands, the color of the thread, then the bore-a-bore leather inside, the cover, the function of the leather hinge, and the leather fly leaves. To have this maquette in our hands give us the chance to realize that I would never get a proper medieval time character on a binding produced in 2021. Instead of that, I could build a contemporary lace embodied structure well reinforced on the spine to provide a good and resistant opening and function. The character of the pigskin is already the better aesthetic connection with the medieval times and the structure made by those binder styles. Now I can work on a binding with a clean spine, where to set the title, play with a design that achieves an aesthetic connection with the book, being respectful of the edition, discovering its proper way to get into the concept that founded the Klemscott Press. The last request I have from the owner of the book is to look for a way to connect the flower shapes I am looking for the design with the frames and straight lines. He finds those are some of the central elements that compose the edition to be related with the cover of the binding. It is time to continue with this project to find the best possible design for this wonderful book.